Hi, this is Kristine with What I Wish I Learned in School, and this is Transition Tips. In video 1, I talked about how I begin talking to students about transition, and that is I start with a career story. And in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you an example of my career story, just in case it's something that could fit into your classroom as well. So without further ado, here's my career story.
So here we are in Google Slides, and I'm just going to share with you the 3 major slides that I share with students. I begin with a picture of me from high school. Students get a kick out of how you looked like when you were their age. Moving on to the second slide. This is my main presentation slide. I've also spread it out onto multiple slides, but I found that I like seeing everything on one page, especially when I'm looking back on different experiences and so on. I'm not going to go through the whole presentation with you today, but I'm just going to go through some of the highlights. My starting point is high school because I teach high school. I start off with my first job, which was at Jamba Juice. Then I go through graduation and college and my first jobs while I was in college. I also like to highlight some of the jobs that I did not get hired at. For instance, I did not get hired at Hollister, and I tell a little story about that. In retrospect, why I think I did not get hired. Hollister, I think it was several reasons, but one of the major reasons is I wasn't prepared for a group interview, and I also wore clothes from Forever 21, and I think it's so important that when you are interviewing at a retailer that you wear the clothes that they sell. In my college experience, I went to a couple of different colleges, so I talk a little bit about that. And then in my own career journey, there was a major step where I worked at the Disabled Students Auxiliary at my college. Some of the restaurants that I worked at, some of the restaurants I did not get hired at, and then college graduation. For my particular experience, I really did not know what I wanted to do next. So I had a little gap year where I traveled to try to figure it out. I thought I was going to be a food writer, so I dabbled in that, and then I eventually ended up in a special education classroom. I did not see that coming, but I work with students with transition, getting them ready for work. A lot of them are going into the service industry, and I really enjoy teaching students about customer service. And so that's some of the lessons that I've learned and the major slides that I use in my presentation.
Now I'm just going to leave you with 3 last tips as you begin to construct your own career story. Tip number 1, choose a starting point. For me, a real obvious one, an easy one, is high school. I just put myself in the same spot as my students, so it's really easy to explain my passions and my motivations and why I chose my first job. The second tip is to find a common thread. Before you tell your students your career story, reflect and think, are there patterns in your career story? Are there nuggets of wisdom? Is there something that you learned? Is there something that kept coming up? Equipping yourself with those lessons before you talk to your students will make your story just that much more meaningful. And then my last tip for you is to always look forward. So as you end your career story, always end strong and look to the future. What do you see yourself doing next? What do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? What are your next steps? Revealing yourself as still a work in progress is also something that students can empathize with. I hope you have a great last few days of 2018, and Happy New Year.